Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. Breaking news delivered to me by John Tran just now that the game Texas and Kansas is postponed till December 12th, right?
Yes, the week before the Big 12 championship. Yep,
Yeah,
our
and
opening
so
week.
we had we came on here getting ready to record our prep video and this miserable Kansas team. I was going to talk about the quarterback only have a touchdown pass and Puka Williams just dropped out and
Yes.
all this type of stuff. And Stephon Robinson has only caught 3 passes this year. Like, just get ready to just cook Kansas. But hey, can't do that right now because we're not playing them
Yep.
this week. So, um, just your immediate thoughts there, Tran, because I think I know where my head is now shifted to as a fan.
I think we're both in the same boat that we're shifting already. Like, we're both great. All the people with the nagging injuries get an extra week to prep for Iowa State, which Iowa State has not a pushover game, but the Kansas State team is not as strong as they were at the beginning of the season. Or well, at the
They're
beginning of
struggling.
conference
Yeah.
play. Yeah, they're breaking in a new quarterback. So, but we get to watch, and we get extra film on them. We can get both of our tight ends healthy. Hopefully, because they're going to be big on the prep for the defense, because Iowa State uses their running back Brees Hall, right? His
Mm-hmm.
name, and their 3 big tight ends. So that's something that we actually have. We have really big tight ends that we can kind of simulate what they're going to do for seam routes and things like that, and try to guard those. So it's good that we're going to get another week, basically a week and a half of prep for Iowa State, and that quick turnaround game doesn't look as scary anymore.
And just to provide some clarity, because this is my fault. 2 things that I should have done at the beginning of the video. Hit the like button while you're here. We're still talking ball, and even though it's not Kansas prep, and I know everybody's so bummed out about it, we're still talking ball. So hit that like button. Show some love and support to the channel. The second thing that I should have clarified is, and this is Trey, you can actually explain this better. It's contact tracing on Kansas's part, correct? It wasn't on.
Yes, it's not on our part. It's
Okay.
definitely Kansas's side. Well, that's for the reports that I was reading. So they contacted and said they're dealing with some uprise in COVID-19 cases, so they had to postpone the game. Which,
We've seen
great.
all over
Yes,
the
great that they found it before we went there, and we may have had to
been
deal with the same
exposed.
thing.
Yeah.
Yes, been exposed to it. Yeah, it's a bummer, because I was hoping to see the offense get some confidence playing against this down Kansas team. Let's be honest, that they're not a good team. But take it with a grain of salt, and look on the bright side of things, that we do get an extra week to prep for a really good Iowa State team that will be coming here on an early kickoff game. So just to have us prepped for that, waking up focused, practicing. I think we should be practicing early morning, especially during this off week. But it's a bummer, because I was kind of hoping like a midseason tune-up game.
Yeah, which we don't get very often.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree there. Like, just that, having that get right for the offense. I'm not too bummed out though. Like you said at the beginning, getting healthy. These coaches tell us, Chris Ash got up there and said the defense had the best practice they've ever had this whole season. So they keep having these all-world practices. We should be good after Thanksgiving, Tran.
Yeah,
right?
We should.
Like according to them, if they keep practicing at that level, keeping guys healthy, because we've seen guys get banged up. That means Jordan Whittington should be full go. Coburn should be full go.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said with the tight ends, hopefully we get they're available, ready to play. Like this isn't the worst. This isn't bad. I mean, I think from a fan, we look forward to these games, and it's like, okay, even with it being Kansas, like, it's football, just getting to see Texas football. And I've said this since COVID, right? Every week we have that the games on the schedule is a blessing. It really is. And so while it's a blessing that it wasn't our, I don't want anybody to be affected, but it's not our kids. I hope that doesn't sound bad, but where we can still go take care of ourselves and then be ready to play Iowa State, and compete for the conference. Because where my focus is shifting is the 2 Big 12 games on Saturday, Tran. Because you mentioned Iowa State.
But before we deep dive into those, and I know you and I both think that we were Chris Ash was, trolling the media with it. They've got to be trolling every single time. It's the best practice we've ever had. But something was released today that Chris Brown is the #1 rated safety in the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
Taquan Graham's the #1 D tackle in the Big 12. Joseph Asai, #1 edge defender versus the run in the Big 12. So, I mean, at every single level, we have the #1 player at their specific position. So, I mean, we have leadership there, and we see it week to week on us getting better week over week. So, I mean, he may not be BSing us, honestly, when he's doing that. Now, if it came from Tom Herman's mouth, I would think, yeah, he's doing that on purpose. But I mean, we do have leaders at every single position at position group for the defense.
I want to say something though.
Shout out to Bushevsky too, by the way. We must have terrible punters.
We have some terrible punters in the Big 12.
The Big 12.
And again, get well soon.
Yes.
Get real soon, Ryan Bushevsky. But for him to be the #1 ranked punter or #1 graded punter in the Big 12
in a conference,
I did not know. I'll be honest with you. I did not know everybody was struggling with their kick game like that, because to where his last 2 games, he must have been
fantastic. He was great.
He was, but he must have been graded 90 above for him to be either that or the punters in the conference are a disaster, because he's #1 graded punter in the Big 12 according to Pro Football Focus. Also, Derek Kerstetter I saw was the #1 graded
blocking center.
Blocking center. So that doesn't actually surprise me as much as his struggles have been more discipline.
Yeah, it's after the whistle blows.
Yeah, and actually snapping the ball. And I think he's struggling in the run game too. I think being inside as a run defender versus on the edge, or as a run blocker versus on the edge as a run blocker, is very, very different dynamic. My offensive line heads who I'm building on this channel, please weigh in there. I always love hearing from you guys.
Also, Sam Cosme, which we know what he brings to the
right,
table.
Sam. We forgot about Sam Cosme, #1 graded pass blocking tackle. So, good kudos for those guys. And that's, again, recruiting good. They got to put that stuff out there. That, again, parents, kids that are looking at schools, they pay attention to all this data. We're getting into a world we have more and more data for people to look at when looking at their program. So Texas, Tom Herman complaining about the negative pub, the negative press. Let's push out that good stuff and say, hey, this is, third-party grading system. This is how our guys are measuring out. We're having success in a lot of different avenues.
Pro Football Focus to be at that, and they're starting to use that on Monday Night Football.
They use it already on Sunday night, but
Sunday Night Football, where they raked every single position at what their respective position was.
Part of it is because Collinsworth, I think, is an investor in Pro Football Focus. I could be wrong on that. I'm dead. I'm not even joking.
I know.
I think he's like actually monetarily invested.
That's not too big of a conflict of interest.
Anyway, I wanted to address the Chris Ash thing though, because I do think they're trolling to some degree. Like, I do think you can be honest about it. Like, you can talk about how excited you are about guys, but when they know how annoyed people, these dudes are more self-aware than people think. They are. Because for Tom Herman to say Orange fans, I was like, which is dangerously close to OnlyFans. Yeah. Just hilarious. And we know you're talking about Orange Bloods, right? And so they're self-aware of a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think with Chris Ash, I do think he's probably telling the truth, but I also think they have a sense of humor. Mm-hmm. These are the same people on National Signing Day gave the double bird to the camera.
And not only
Like,
that, not only that, Tom Herman even touched on it in his presser, was that, people on the inside, they think it's laughable.
right,
So they're going to play to it. They're going to play to their stakeholders, which are the kids. Those are I mean, the recruits and the kids in the program are their stakeholders. So that if they think that what's funny and what relates to the kids, they're going to do that.
Tran, you and I in our friend group, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have so many inside jokes. Like as most people I'm sure do that watch this channel, that have their circle of friends or your core group of people that you group text with or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
right? You and I are in multiple group chats with our various friend groups. We have multiple inside jokes. You can't tell me that the dudes on the staff don't have the same type of relationship, right? And what do I mean by that? Hey, every time I bet you $1, you won't,
Mm-hmm.
every time you get in front of the media, weave this in, and it's something you laugh about internally. I would be like that too. Like if you're like, let's see how many times we can say drumstick each week, like in front of just and
I mean,
see
because
until
the
somebody
pressers are
catches on.
so boring. I mean,
Right,
they've got to do something to kind of liven it
right,
up for themselves. So yeah, of course. I mean,
yeah.
I absolutely would do
It's
something like
like,
that.
yeah, man. I'll bet you it's like, what do you drink? You drink Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi. I'll bet you a case. You won't say we had the best week of practice.
I actually know for a
The
fact that they did this during the Mac Brown era. I forgot what year it was. I want to say it was 2002. One of the recruits, they're running out for because they announced to everyone back then for the spring game. He was the first one out, and he took a pot from everyone on the team. Like, how much will you give me if I run full sprint out the tunnel and just bite it, and just trip on myself and fall face forward? And he worked together something like 200 and something bucks. That's what my
oh
brother said,
wow.
and he did it, and he was on the front page of the paper about doing that. So yeah, I know that they do it. If they do it at the player level, I'm sure they do it, especially for a young staff that Tom Herman has assembled, basically, except for Chris Ash. He's probably him and Herb Hand are probably the oldest on the
Yeah.
staff.
They're adult. They're human beings,
Yeah.
right? And if we do it, right? Like, there's a guy, Mark Vaz. Shout out to Mark Vasquez. I think it's Mark, who every time every live chat, he makes me say, all hands on deck.
All hands on deck.
At some point during the live chat, I must say, and you guys will see it's frequent. Go watch any live, like the presser stuff. Like let them. They're just having fun with it at this point. Like, so when Tom Herman gets up there and going to Iowa State, like that's why when he laughed, I think when we lost to OU the week before, and he said we had the best Sunday practice ever. And you could see him already laughing, and he's like, I know it's hyperbole. I know it's hyperbole, but Sunday practice, that Sunday, I got emotional. It was so good. Oh my God, they were flying around. Everybody was practicing so hard. You guys should have been there. Like, they were amazing. Like, that's his. They're trolling us. Have to be. So I want to talk about Bedlam, and I want and wrap it up on Kansas State, Iowa State. Iowa State right now is favored by 11 over Kansas State. We know they're having quarterback issues, and beyond that, they just haven't been playing good football recently. They're still 4-2 in the Big 12 as of right now, but Iowa State, and I think it was Kevin Dunn on the radio or somebody recently that was just saying, like, how when I was in my car the other day and I was listening to him, and I think he was saying how Iowa State reminds him of Baylor last year. They're just that weird team where they get everything wrong, but they still win the game. Like, they're like -4 on turnovers, and they still, come out with it, because Brock Purdy's been turning the football over, right? And the Brees Hall thing's real. Like, he's one of the, I think he's leading the country in rushing, but they just have these gaps. Like, they gave up. They'll give up a kick return for a touchdown or whatever, but they'll still figure out how to win. It's very Baylorish how Matt Rule and them were winning last year. Just no matter what, they would always kind of figure out how to pull it out. So this Iowa State Kansas State game might be a little weird. Even though Iowa State's favored heavily, so we'll see what type of focus they have. I think the attention now turns to Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. And we don't normally break down other people's games on this channel. We normally stick to our team, but with us having played both of these teams, and and gone to overtime, what would we do? How many? We played 6 overtimes between these two teams? Did we go to a double overtime?
5. I think
Five.
I think it was 5.
One,
I thought we only played one overtime.
Okay, so
with
5
Oklahoma State.
overtimes plus 8 quarters against the Oklahoma schools. Oklahoma, this is in Norman, and Oklahoma's favored by 7. Very interested to see, the battle of the Spencers. Oklahoma seems to be rounding up. Oklahoma State has the one loss to us, but I haven't seen them. They haven't really been as explosive, I think, as everybody thought they would be this year. So I'm curious.
Starts with the offensive line.
Yeah.
Too. Because they have all the weapons. LD Brown, Chuba Hubbard, Tylan Wallace is the best in the Big 12. Then there's, Dylan Stoner, who always seems to find himself wide open somewhere. And then who's number 8? I forgot what his name.
Johnson.
Yeah. I mean, so they're at skill positions. They're set. I didn't even touch on their tight end. However, the offensive line, I think
they struggle.
Yeah,
they've been struggling. Yeah. And I mean, this is going to be an interesting game because I do like the matchup defensively.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma State trying to contain Oklahoma. I think this is going to be a game. It's going to be kind of a weird game where they're in the 30s because Oklahoma's been playing better D too. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Ronnie Perkins coming back has already been helpful with other guys that were playing well, like Isaiah Thomas and what's his name that was giving us problems. I always forget the number 11, but they have the ability, Oklahoma, to really put themselves in the driver's seat right now, right? Because we're all trying to position for the Big 12 championship game. You basically put, little brother in their eyes, Oklahoma State in their place. I don't know who else is remaining on Oklahoma's schedule to play, but and if you want to look that up real quick, but
I'm doing that right now.
Okay, so they have the opportunity to put themselves in the driver's seat because Oklahoma State would now have a loss to Oklahoma and Texas, right? Now, if Oklahoma State wants to, the same thing from Oklahoma State side, because if they win the game and they come in now and they close out with only one loss, they're in Big 12 championship.
Yeah, no one else is going to beat them.
Yeah, so this is a game of which everything on the line for both of those.
Potentially, teams. Oklahoma State basically could eliminate Oklahoma from the Big 12 championship too.
Yeah, because they would have 3 losses.
They'd have 3 losses, and I think if the winner of our Iowa State and Texas, they're going to be going
probably
to the Big
other
12.
team. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So potentially, Oklahoma State could eliminate the 5-time defending Big 12 champion on their home field. And I just do I think that they're going to do it on their home field? I'm not too sure. I think they need to turn over. They need to force multiple turnovers against Spencer.
Here's my problem. Well, against Spencer Rattler.
Yeah.
My thing is.
Sorry, I forgot. We're the Spencers. Yeah, I forgot.
Spencer's. I don't trust Spencer Sanders in this spot.
Neither do I. But once again, it's just a 1-game thing. Can he be Superman in 1 game? Does he have the talent?
He needs to take care of the football.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Can he do that for 1 game?
I don't know. I just feel like I trust. At the end of the day,
I trust Lincoln Riley.
I trust Lincoln Riley and Spencer Rattler. Even though Spencer Rattler's been he's had his issues with turnovers. Spencer Sanders, like even in our game, right? Like I never felt like is the plays that he did make, I never felt like he was gonna kill me consistently. Like it was like, hey, he might, it's like it's just so up and down with
So
him.
so how healthy is Tylan Wallace? I mean, he had off last week to rest for this week. We know how grabby their corners get because Grinch is going to put them on an island. How many?
I think Tylan Wallace is.
Tylan Wallace will at least draw, I think, 3 pass interference calls because you saw when they played us that they weren't afraid to just throw a nine route us to death.
Chris Ash actually talks about this. When you do your film study, and they may even one of the tactics that teams will do is purposely underthrow it. Knowing a DB's tendency just to see what they can get, offensively, right? So I think Tylan Wallace, I think he's going to be a monster. And
he came back for this reason to play for a Big 12 championship.
Absolutely. OU's corners play very well against us, especially Woody Washington, who's probably one of their better DBs. And whether it's Trey Brown or whoever's out there, right? Now the other thing is, Buki's been. I've seen him get some sacks. I think he got an interception a couple weeks ago. But if you want to get dangerous and flex out Jelani Woods at tight end and get some matchups there like Iowa State did, that's an opportunity for Oklahoma. But for me, I think this game just boils down to the quarterbacks, who's going to protect the football better between those quarterback coach combos. Because, I mean, Chuba is as good as Chuba is. Chuba's only at 581 right now running the football. I mean, he hasn't really snapped like that. We're talking about a guy that was over 2,000 yards rushing last season. So it's been a very, very impactful with what's happened with their offensive line.
I mean, he's still
you can make
the
argument
for possibly 1,000-yard season, which it's so crazy to say that's right. Just terrible for this guy. But you're right. He rushed for 2,000 yards last season.
So if you were to do it like where he's at right now, if you were to average it out over a normal 12-game schedule, he'd be like a 1,200-yard rusher then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's not.
It's
you're like
to scoff at.
No,
it's not. But it's trash.
Right, but that's not dope.
Yeah,
that's not first team All-American numbers.
No, I get
it. So Tylan, though, I don't know. He's the All-American badass for them right now. That could solve this.
Win the game.
Yeah, especially on the road, man, and all things. Like he's the person that can just quiet everything. For
and Oklahoma State has a good defense too.
So, I like their defense, and I think that's where Spencer Rattler's going to have to also figure some things out. Look how well now, and OU's wide receivers. Now, the one thing that they have that we struggle with was Marvin Mims in the slot, because we were just refusing to work Joshua Moore there, and especially when Jake Smith at the time was working back. So I think they have a great advantage working to Marvin Mims there, right? Theo Weiss is starting to come on better. I was really disappointed how that brother was playing earlier in the season. I didn't think he was making plays for his quarterback like he has the potential to do, like I saw him do at Allen. But he seems to be able to. It looks like he's starting to pick it up a little bit. And obviously their tight end group and Hall, our America's favorite chubby fullback. They're getting it done over there. So good matchup. I think OU's going to beat them. I'm not picking against Lincoln Riley in this spot, and I'm definitely not putting money on Spencer Sanders. Just think he's too up and down. I think Rattler is just growing up a little bit faster at this point. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm excited to tune into that game just to see, if we handle our business, who we could potentially be playing in the Big 12 championship game, and how they look against each other after seeing what we look like against both of these teams.
I agree.
So,
but there's no rest for the weary. I mean, Oklahoma the week after has to go to Morgantown too, so they have to face another defense. But
That's not a gimme.
yeah, that's not a gimme,
That's not a
especially
gimme.
after having a back-to-back games with your rival, and then having to do that travel to Morgantown. That's the thing that people don't talk about.
Who do
that
they
much.
close with?
Baylor win.
Yeah.
Win. So I mean,
Yeah. West Virginia's
yes,
a
they're
sneaky
coming
game.
on. They had a good thing where they were front loaded with their tough games, and then their middle portion of their schedule, TCU, Tech, Kansas State. I mean Kansas. I mean that's why their offensive numbers have shot up. But is it enough for them to be confident going into a? I think Oklahoma State is a top 20 defense. Are they still listed in the top 20?
I don't know. I haven't looked at the defensive rankings.
Okay, I mean, but
yeah, they're good. They're good. They're a good unit. They're a good unit. I think though, I got Oklahoma, I got Iowa State, both handling their business. I do think Kansas State could cover though. I think 11's aggressive.
It's on the road.
It is.
Yeah,
it's just that and I'm saying it's aggressive because Iowa State's has been messing around sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, are they 11 points better than Kansas State right now? Yes. But going back to that whole Baylor thing, like their games have been close when they've been making just. If I saw Brock Purdy playing like he was last season, no doubt, right? But right now, with them being so just up and down in the middle of games, I don't know. I could see Kansas State returning a kick for a touchdown or blocking
Oklahoma State is a top. They're a top 20 defense, so they're ranked 16th right now in total defense.
Well, they'll have their hands full with the OU run game too. Mm-hmm. Rajay Stevenson being there, Seth McGowan, Marcus Major, who I think some people were like, maybe he should get some more carries. TJ Pledger, like now that unit has come along. Offensive line is kind of rounded into shape. OU's on the upswing at the right time.
I agree.
So it'll be an interesting football game. Texas get healthy. And if we're going to keep having these great practices, I do not want to hear excuses next week when we play.
Showing up. Yeah.
Right. Or I don't want to hear early kickoff excuses. I know it's the day after Thanksgiving. So is the fact that Iowa State has to travel here after Thanksgiving. No excuses. You guys make millions of dollars, the coaching staff, for these things not to be an issue. So I don't want to hear any of that at all, especially with extended time to prep for the best opponent you have left in the regular season, without a doubt. So
I agree.
Tran, let's get ready for the draft now tonight and
fun times.
The NBA draft.
And, I guess some more Texas news. We flipped a D tackle from Baylor.
Did he commit though? Yeah. Murphy.
Yeah,
he committed. Byron Murphy.
Yeah.
I'd seen the crystal ball. I didn't know he already like.
No, it says commit. Texas flips 4-star D line from Baylor. So
all right,
good news.
Breaking news. Good news. Tran broke 2-star. Literally, I had my notes up ready to go on Kansas, and he's like, "Hey, game's postponed." Like right as
his reaction was, "Which game?" I was like, "The Kansas game."
Yeah, like the game's postponed. I'm like, "Oh, word."
I assume you were thinking of SEC stuff.
Yeah, because they've been dropping like flies, right? A&M about to have a month-long bye week, so it's interesting. Anyway,
it really is. It really is going to be close to a month before they play again.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, man.
Well, we'll see what games.
Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands.
Absolutely, and take care of one another too. It's not just about you; it's about everybody else around you. Anyway, that's our whole public service announcement. It was fun, at least talking some sort of ball.
Yeah,
and
looking forward to some good games still. Just wish we were watching a Texas game.
Yeah. no, but we will be UT fans should be in scout mode this weekend. You know, that Belichick gif with the where he's up in Indianapolis in the booth with his binoculars at the combine, just spying on people. Then he's like he eats the popcorn. That's what UT fans need to be with these games this weekend. At least I know I will.
At least for the Kansas State Iowa State game, since they're on the docket for us.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we're done, guys. We appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Be back with more content. Horns always up.